Shalom to everyone watching this video. Shalom. God put it on my soul to record this video that I'm recording right now. He did. And I want to share something with whoever may watch this video. So you're chosen. Now what? What does it mean to be chosen? To be chosen means you are someone on this earth who has been chosen by God before you were even born, when you were still in your mother's womb, to carry out God's will on this earth. There's not many of you. There's not many of you chosen ones. As it is written, many are called, few are chosen. Many are called, few are chosen. You're someone who has spiritual gifts. You're someone who has been blessed. God has dipped you in His presence just a little bit. And because of that, He has gifted you. You have been gifted with just a tiny bit of His powers. Just a tiny bit. Right? And because of that, you are different. You are weird to this world. As it is written again, you are a peculiar people. You know, a chosen generation, a royal priesthood. Right? As it's written in the scriptures. You're very strange to the world, right? You're very weird. You have this presence about you, whether you're a man or a woman, right? It goes both ways. Now, I'm going to share my experience as being someone who is chosen for a divine purpose on this earth. When I was a child, I would say 3, 4 years old. I believe 3 years old. My parents noticed something they noticed something about me. When I was 3 years old, my parents noticed that I was a child. Well, I was 3 years old, so I'm still a baby. They noticed I was different from all the other babies. Way different. Because if it was my parents taking me to theme parks, pumpkin patches, any place where you can take a 3-year-old and they'll have fun with, like, there's other kids there and stuff, you know. My parents noticed I was always the child and the light just came on for night. My parents noticed that I was always the child who was doing things on his own. He was always wandering off from the crowd. He wasn't doing what all the other little boys were doing. He wasn't doing what all the other little children were doing. All the other children were making noises, playing around, having fun. And here goes, you know, little Giovanni, because my name is Giovanni. Little Giovanni over here wandering by himself, in his own little world. And my parents always wondered that, like, how come he's never he never with the other kids. He's never with the other kids. How come he's always by himself, doing his own thing? And yeah, since the beginning, I've been different. Even my parents would notice it with my family. We go to parties, and I was always different. As long as I can remember, if it was preschool, kindergarten, first grade, all of elementary, middle school, high school, if it's around family, everything I can remember. I played every sport growing up. I played soccer, basketball, football, baseball, you name it. I still have all my trophies. And even when I played the sports, whatever I did growing up until now, present moment, as I record this video, I've always felt like the odd one out. I always felt like I was the black sheep, no matter where I went. If it was a sports team, if it was the friend group, if it was in my family, right? I always felt like the odd one out. No matter where I was, no matter what I experienced. My whole life, I've always felt so different from everyone. I've always felt so different from everyone. I always felt like there is more to what's actually happening, because I still remember this. Being in elementary and being on our lunch breaks, or if it was recess, I think they call it recess, where you get it's like the 20-minute break or something like that, recess. I believe it was 20 or 15 minutes. If it was hanging out with friends, if it was hanging out with friends at lunch break, and we eat in our little groups. We all have our trays, the little milks in the bag and stuff. I remember all that, and I always felt different. I always felt like, yes, these are my friends, but I always felt like I didn't belong there. Like there was something just, I was a child. I didn't know how to articulate it. And there was many times on lunch, because when it was lunchtime, I believe it was a whole hour, and 30 minutes of it was us playing. And when we were done playing out in the yard, they would line us up, and we would walk to the cafeteria to go eat for the second half of the hour. And I remember there was many times I would sit by myself at the bench, just by my lonesome. I was sitting by myself and no one with me. I didn't feel like, probably gonna get mosquito bites out here. I didn't feel like I think I already got one, so whatever. I didn't feel like I belonged at all. I felt like, even back then, I had moments of like, man, why am I even here? Right? Imagine that, in elementary school, kids playing soccer, kids playing basketball, kids playing, it's not volleyball, it was something else. It's where you throw I think it's dodgeball, or, no, not dodgeball, it's where you throw the balls at the wall. You throw them at the wall and they come back to you, or something like that. Little boys chasing each other around and having fun, role playing. If it was little girls sitting in their corners talking with each other, doing their thing, right? And here I am at this bench over here where no one else is sitting at these benches, just me, by my lonesome, just like this, and just looking at everyone play and thinking to myself, why am I here? Like, what is this? Like, I felt like there was more to what's going on. I felt like there was more to what's going on. And even going in, like, I had many moments like that where I was just by myself, right? Now, I've always had friends, but I've always been a loner, right? I've always been someone who liked being by his lonesome, right? Who liked being by himself. I can say I'm an introvert. I was born an introvert, just as my dad was. And for my whole life, I felt as if I was different from everyone else. I was different, I was real nice, and a lot of people took advantage of my niceness. A lot of people. And I even noticed how different I was when I got to high school, different from everyone. See, but I didn't want to be seen as weird, right? So I would hang out with everyone and try to fit in with them, right? That was my issue. I wasn't able to fully express myself and be myself. The world got a hold of me, and because of it, it did not sever the connection I had with my Father in heaven, the Most High, but it did lead me to a path of destruction. It did. It really did. And a lot of things happened in my life. So many things have happened. I shouldn't even be alive right now. My guardian angel, the angels around me, have protected me from so many things. When I look back at my life, it's like everything has been divine. Everything has been divine, right? And when I turned 18, my eyes really started to open. When I turned 18, my eyes really started to open, and I started to know the truth of this world. When I was 18, that's when I came to know the truth of this world. Everything. Celebrities, politics, this was a time when I haven't really came to God yet. Well, when I was 16, that's when I started to draw closer to Him. I started drawing closer to Him at 16, but before then, I was just stagnant. But when I was 16, it's like I slowly started to draw closer to God, slowly. and man, yeah, when I was 18, I started to know the truth, and that's when I really started talking less. I started talking less when I turned 18. That's when I really stopped feeling the need to just talk just to talk, right? That's when I stopped feeling the need just to talk. And all my friends, we were all cool, and they were like, yeah, bro, just remember, we're gonna always be here for you, man. We're gonna always be here for you. I've had some friends that say that, but now they're nowhere to be found, right? I fell out with so many people. A lot of people, I don't even know what happened. Just no contact anymore, but whatever happened to them, I always have love for them. I don't hate no one. I have love for everybody, no matter what terms we were left on or whatever. However you want to go about it. And yeah, I started to wake up as I went to, as I turned 18, and then 20, and then 21, right? Right when I was about to turn 22, well, when I was 21, that's when I really started to feel conviction of what I was doing. Couldn't really do this no more, right? And then once I turned 22, I was like, yeah, I know what I got to do now. I felt more comfortable well, actually, no. When I turned 20, I started being myself. And then 21, started being myself, feeling comfortable with myself, being honest with women, men, just being honest with people, right? But when I turned 22, which was, I turned 22, which was in 2024, I believe. And later in that year, that's when I really started to, I bought a Bible, King James Version. I started reading the scriptures, started practicing semen retention, right? Because semen retention draws you closer to God. It draws you closer to God if you do it for God. And it restores your energy as a man. All those years of fornicating, all those years of draining yourself, all those years of defiling yourself, semen retention is going to restore all of that. Your energy, it's going to give you back your soul. You're going to feel like a child again with semen retention. That's what I feel like, right? I feel like a child again, man. And what did Jesus say? Unless you become like these children, you cannot enter the kingdom of heaven, right? You cannot enter the kingdom of heaven unless you have the heart of a child. Just as Christ said. Now, let's get into the juicy stuff. I realized that I'm chosen because you don't just happen to buy yourself a Bible. You don't just happen to stop listening to secular music. You don't just happen to stop using social media. You don't just happen to stop smoking, stop drinking, stop fornicating, stop doing all of this stuff, right? Especially as a 20-year-old young man. 20-year-old young man who is told by everyone, oh, you're very handsome. You're very handsome, right? Very handsome. Oh, you're not the usual type of handsome. You're a different type of handsome. I have women telling me this, older women telling me this all the time. Oh, you are very handsome. You know that, right? All the time. A man like me, following God, celibate, right? Abstinent, practicing semen retention, not smoking, not drinking, not trying to sleep with as many women as he wants to. Where do you see that nowadays? Right? Not using social media. Humble. Right? Not trying to get at women and use his looks just to get at women or whatever. Using his looks for all the vanity. That just doesn't happen, right? And because of that, I throw a lot of people off because of that. And yeah, I throw a lot of people off because of that. But what I'm trying to say here, that just doesn't happen. It just doesn't happen. So I've came to realize I have been blessed with spiritual gifts. My discernment is extremely high. Right? I've been blessed to be a very loving person, someone who's not bitter, even though he's been backstabbed many times. Many times. He's been backstabbed many times. Not bitter. I'm still a loving person. I will always be a loving person. Kind, respectful, patient, understanding, right? I realized I've been blessed with great knowledge and power, spiritual power. And with great power comes great responsibility. Much is given, much is required. I have to be obedient. I have a burning desire to please God. I have a burning desire to please God and carry out His will, no matter what that might be. Whatever His will is in my life, I will carry it out. I don't care about the folly. I don't care about smoking. I don't care about celebrity drama. I don't care about rap beefs. I don't care about who's fighting who. You're gonna watch the fight. I don't care about the sports games. I don't care about the mindless entertainments. I don't care about what's going on in the world. I only care about hearing God's voice and listening to what He has planned for me. Listening to what He has planned for me. That's all I care about. All I care about for what He has planned for me. Right? I know I've been chosen to get to know the Word, to get to know God, to really know who Jesus Christ is, to build a personal connection with Him so tight to where I can hear His voice every day, so that He can use my vessel to carry out His will, because that's what it's all about. I believe I'm here to lead the lost sheep back to the shepherd, Jesus Christ. The real Jesus Christ. The Jesus of the Bible. Not the Jesus of the world. Not the fake Jesus. The real Jesus Christ. Who says to follow Him. Not a religion. Christ said, follow me. And in order to follow Christ, you have to be willing to leave everything behind. Your house, your car, your material possessions. Here's some wisdom. Anything you put before Jesus, Satan can use that to be your downfall. Whether if you're a woman, if you put a man before Jesus, he can use that man to break you down. The same thing for you men. If you put a woman before Jesus, he can use that woman to drain you and break you down. It could even be a car. If you put a car before Jesus, that car will cause you many problems. You might even lose the car, right? Or if you put your house, your nice big house with the pool in the backyard, maybe you have 2 properties, maybe even 3, 4, 5, who knows? If you put those before Christ, he's going to use those. Well, he's not going to use them. Satan is going to use those to be your downfall. Whatever it may be. Now, let me tell you something. Here's more wisdom. Be as wise as a serpent and harmless as a dove. wise as a serpent. Satan, the serpent. He was the serpent in the Garden of Eden with Adam and Eve. Satan, the devil, he is the wicked one. The Bible calls him the wicked one. It refers to him as the wicked one. The wicked one has been here since the beginning of time. Since he was castrated, since he was banned and kicked out of heaven. That's how long Satan's been here. He knows the Bible more than you. He knows the Bible more than anyone. Scripture for scripture, precept upon precept, everything. Satan, he knows. He has great wisdom. Satan, that's why it is written, be as wise as a serpent and harmless as a dove. Oh boy. Obedience. Obedience. Now here's more wisdom before I end this video. Here's more wisdom. Satan can jump in anybody. You may have people around you that mean you no harm. You may have people around you that mean you no harm. And they just happen to be weak spiritually. Just know that Satan can jump in those people to attack you. Peter, the Apostle Peter, the Holy Apostle Peter, who was one of the apostles of Jesus Christ. And I think Christ loved Peter the most. Out of all his apostles, Peter was his favorite. And Jesus was constantly rebuking Peter. Got these mosquito bites. Christ was constantly rebuking Peter, constantly. Because Satan would jump inside of Peter to attack Jesus. So realize that but he wanted the best for Jesus, right? He wanted the best for him. But Satan used his vessel to attack the chosen one. So be careful who's around you. Be careful who is around you, right? What did Christ say? A friend of the world is an enemy against God. So if you're someone like myself who is completely disconnected from the world, and I still have friends who are still of the world, like I'm over here on my path to being as obedient as I can be to Christ and following him, taking my walk with Christ very seriously. If I'm friends with people who are doing the complete opposite, they're still in the world, they're going to the concerts, they're going to the parties, smoking, doing this, that, fornicating. If I'm friends with someone like that, they are an enemy to God. Because as it is written, friends of the world are an enemy against the Lord. Also, as it is written, how can two walk together except they be agreed? Right? How can two walk together except they be agreed? If they're walking together, someone's compromising, right? Someone's compromising. Because two can't walk together unless they be agreed. So there's that. You know, be in this world, but not of it. So what does it mean to be chosen? You're set apart. You're not of this world. You don't care for the world and what happens in it. You can see the world for what it is. Right? You realize everything is just a massive psyop. The Matrix. You can see the Matrix for what it is. You can see the numbers. You can see the numbers everywhere. When you look out your window, when you're driving on the road, when you're going to the grocery store, when you're at work, school, you can see the Matrix. You can't explain the Matrix to someone. They have to be able to see it for themselves. People are going to think you're crazy. Everyone's going to look at you weird. Even your family, friends, you name it. People are going to look at you weird, my brother, my sister. But we're not here for them. We're not here to appease anybody but Jesus Christ. That's it. Once you realize that, you will gain true peace. You will gain a true peace of mind. Speak blessings. Speak life. Protect your mornings as best as you can. Don't have your mornings filled with too much noise. Protect your mornings. Protect them. Life is beautiful. Sometimes I can just look at my hands and be like, I'm grateful to be alive. I'm grateful to have my hands. I'm grateful to able to be alive and worship God, right? Because that's what it's all about. That's what it's all about. Life is beautiful. Life is very beautiful. Anyways, y'all. Anyways. I kept y'all for too long. But take heed to what I'm saying, please. That's all I ask. Anyways, I'm gonna get back into my house. I'm in my backyard right now, and I can feel like I've already got some mosquito bites on my legs. You can probably see it right here on my arms. I'm getting mosquito bites. I don't want to get too many more, man. I don't want to get too many more. But anyways, y'all stay safe. I'm coming with these videos weekly, so I'm gonna keep making these videos. Y'all stay safe, and yeah, peace and blessings.